Oh.
Ooh.
Pop Culture Club.
Yeah, it's popping.
Assemble.
Keeping it groovy like a driving movie. Oh, boy.
Dude, this is the moment we've been waiting for a year.
and on the last podcast, you were like, "Oh yeah, next week." I saw it that day. I went home, dude. I was on my way home, and I was like, you know what? Screw waiting for a week. I looked at my dad. I was like, can't we just go tonight? Like, you know what? That's actually not that bad of an idea. And everything just fell into place. We got a sitter for the babies. Mom was on board for it. The whole family went.
I'm happy for you.
Beautiful.
And we just podcasted yesterday about this. We said we are going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've seen it, major spoilers in this episode.
Yeah.
Now, our goal in this episode is to answer the community questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I've been taking questions from all our listeners. They've been sending me questions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions. Okay, to answer.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about like our favorite parts of the movie as well.
Oh, wow.
We predicted a lot of it, like Cap wielding Thor's hammer.
Yep.
We called that.
We called him going back in time and staying.
Staying back in time. We called that. We didn't call Thor being fat.
Oh no, nobody did.
We didn't call that one in the 14 million reasons why that this took so much chance
rat.
was a freaking rat, which is brilliantly executed, by the way, by the Russo
Yeah.
brothers.
All right. What is the first question? Let's
Okay.
get into it.
The first question by the listeners was, does having the Power Stone make you the strongest in the universe?
No. I mean, at least from what I've seen, no. What was his name? Ronan the Conqueror? Or-
Yes, that was in Guardians.
Guardians, yeah.
Guardians
he had
1.
it, he lost. He was powerful enough to kill all of them in, like, seconds, apparently, if he's the strongest, but he didn't. He couldn't. Thanos. Thanos had all 6, and all it took was the Stormbreaker axe to just get
Yes.
in his chest.
True. There's your evidence right there. So I gotta say, nope, it does not. Okay, now this leads to the next question
Later
from the
on.
listeners. Okay, which was, actually this we have 14. I miscounted. I'm sorry.
Oh,
This one has to do with Thanos.
okay.
This one was explained to me as they wrote it down to me, so that way they could just have it as like a note. So as it was explained to me, this listener did not understand how Thanos was so strong without the stones. Because in Infinity War, they were able to fight against him with the stones. Thor was able to fight him at his most powerful peak
Yeah.
and almost kill him with all 6. Now he doesn't have any of them, and he is destroying them. 3v1?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, I think even you can attest to this. Willpower has a lot to do with it, right? So Thor is, as we know, the god of thunder. Okay, but it doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how fast you are. If your head is not in the right place, your heart's not in the right place, you could lose a match in seconds.
And I think we saw that with Thor. I think that was one of the main
100%.
reasons Thor was
Thor
fat.
was a broken man.
Right,
He was
and
a
he was-
completely broken man.
You work out every day, become the god of thunder, then you spend 5 years eating and drinking beer and see how strong you are.
Exactly.
Right.
He lost himself in grief and in sadness, and his head wasn't at, all right, we need to beat him so that we can get everyone back. His head was, I'm going to do this right this time. I'm not going to mess up like I did before.
I think people also don't realize that in the beginning of Infinity War,
Yeah. He beat the
Thanos
Hulk.
straight up beat the Hulk without using
Yeah.
the Power Stone. He straight up hit him like, what, 7 times and broke the Hulk?
Yeah, he just knocked
Like
him out.
7 punches?
Yeah, and yeah, that's another thing I was going to get into. Thanos isn't just your average grimace-looking alien.
He's the son of a Titan.
He is a Titan. He is a Titan. That's what he is. He was born on a planet called Titan.
Right. And, well, people think that's just the race.
Yeah, no.
Right, but
like,
that's a galactic
it's like
honor.
it's
in
an
a
honor to
sense.
be a Titan.
They're a powerful
Extremely
entity.
powerful. And it's like that was one of my friends was saying, like that scene where hilarious scene by the way. Captain Marvel went up to the gauntlet, was holding it open, and Thanos went for a headbutt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it did nothing. And she was just like, all right, come on now. And then he was like, all right, eat this. He took out the Power Stone, held it in his hands, and punched her in the face with it.
Yes.
How that blew her away. right?
But he was able to hold an
he was able
Infinity
to hold
Stone
it.
in his hand.
He is a Titan. That is not something to be held lightly. They're just incredibly powerful beings.
Okay, so I hope we answered that one enough.
Yeah.
That, if anything,
He broke Captain America's shield.
Right.
Okay, that could also be attested to the material that his sword was made out of, but it's vibranium.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick, because that's something else that it's not a question in here, but that's something that people should realize. Two things. Is that his sword and armor, Thanos', is made of Uru, which is the same material that Thor's hammer, Stormbreaker, and Mjolnir are made of.
Yes.
More powerful, it's enchanted metal.
Yes.
And number two, when you watch him swing and hit Captain America's shield, he hits it at its weak point. He doesn't hit it straight on, he hits it from above and behind at its weak point, and then cracks it and then attacks.
He's a warrior.
Yeah, he
Thanos
knows
is
where
a warrior.
it is.
He knows how to fight. Okay, so he sees a shield, and he's like, okay, I know how to work around the shield, especially relatively in fighting. With a shield and stuff. That's a pretty relatively small shield. Okay, usually if somebody's going in with a shield, it's going to be pretty big, enough to cover most of their area. That's a round shield. That's only about, what you would say, 3 feet, 2 feet wide, maybe.
I don't know the dimensions of the shield, but I would imagine that it's in at least a 3 to 4 foot diameter shield.
Yeah, so he can just, like you said, go for the weak points, the top, behind, and that's exactly what he did. At the first strike, that surprised Captain America. I love that, by the way. He was like, it hit the top.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go in the middle. It hit the top.
Very top.
And it went in. It went straight into the shield.
Now, do you think that when Captain picked up Thor's hammer that he gained the powers of Thor?
Obviously, yes.
That's how he was so strong.
That's why he was so powerful. And that's the thing, that's another thing. That was one of my favorite scenes ever. For one, it proved our theory.
He was worthy, but he was not worthy at the time in Ultron because he didn't need the hammer.
So when he called it to himself, brought it up, and he caught it, he put that stance up, I was like, whoa.
Hector, I had a quiet movie theater, okay? I was one of the first showings at the movie theater. I was the second overall showing, okay? The second one. I didn't get the first, I got the second one.
Yeah.
My theater was quiet.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie, you could hear them sniffing when they were crying.
Yeah.
When he had that hammer and he called it back to him, you first see him with it. I got up and I cheered.
Yeah.
I said, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And then finally the whole theater just broke out after that,
I almost jumped out of my seat. Jumped out. When I say, we'll get into that in a second. I'm going to continue what I was saying. So he calls the hammer back, and he starts bawling on Thanos. And people are like, well, if he's so powerful, we're taking on all three. Why did that happen with Cap? He was surprised. Thor came in there with both of the hammers. He came in there, he didn't know, and he's aware of what Asgardians are. He's aware of what it is. If you're worthy, you carry the hammer. Pretty sure everybody in the universe is at this point.
Yeah.
He turns around and he sees this guy that had a shield on him, and now he's carrying one of the strongest weapons in the universe.
Which he knows what it is.
He knows what Mjolnir is. And he looks at it, he's surprised. It caught him off guard. That's why after
that's why he said he's going to enjoy.
Yeah, later he said it's not personal, but I'm going to enjoy what I do to this planet. He's like, I'm going to enjoy it very much.
Thanos wasn't the same Thanos that we saw in Infinity War.
This was before,
9 years earlier.
Yeah, this was before his getting all of the stones and feeling the power that it gave you.
We'll talk about that in the future. Because
yeah.
I want to talk. That's one of my plot holes that I have to talk to you about.
Yeah. So he's going in. I loved this move. They didn't have to add it. They just wanted a style. They wanted the style to be maximum. And it's understandable why, if you know the ending, right? But he throws his shield.
Oh,
and
he
hits
throws
Thanos,
this.
and then he hits it back.
Right, like a
with
golf
the
swing.
Hammer, and he catches it again.
Yes.
And I'm like,
oh, yes.
And then after he hits him down, he calls lightning down on him.
Twice.
He just. It was so good.
That scene was so well done.
I love the witty banter that these two have, because later on they switched hammers, and he's like, no, you get the little one.
The little one.
You get the little one. And they switched hammers. The
best scene in the movie was, honestly, in my opinion, when all the Avengers come in, he yells out, Avengers brings the hammer, and assemble. Because that way he said it was just, anger. It was every emotion
Every
that he
emotion
had
he ever
felt over the past 70 years
Pent up
coming
all that,
out.
all
and
that.
he's giving it all out. Everything that he has is right now.
It's just he just threw it all out there, and you can tell that every single person they brought back, and every single person on that battlefield was not only ready and determined, but they longed for it.
All right, so let's talk about the people that came back and they didn't come back, because I got some questions on those. Question 1, is Vision still alive?
No.
Simple enough. Do you think he can come back?
100%.
Do you think Wanda is going to help restore Vision's body?
Yeah, I believe. I think that when remember, spoilers. I hope nobody stayed this long. You know it. Tony. When Tony used his own Infinity Gauntlet, okay, and he brought everyone, like he destroyed the entire thing. When Hulk used the Infinity Gauntlet to bring everyone back, I don't think that they brought everyone that Thanos has killed back. I don't think that was the wish that they made. I think
the wish was everyone that was
bring all the vanished back, all of the the snap,
which means people like Black Widow can't be brought back, regardless. Even if he went back in time and dropped the Soul Stone back off, which how interesting of a conversation will that be between Red Skull and Captain America?
There, he's like, I'm free. You walk back. Sorry, bud. He's just like,
I know who you are.
He's like, I know you are.
Captain and Red Skull meeting up again, right?
Right.
Now then he dropped off the Soul Stone, which I found out that Vormir is at the center of the Celestials, which is an interesting little concept there. So no Gamora, she can't come back from the Soul Stone. Black Widow, but we do have present day Gamora. Yeah. Now she is actually back in our timeline.
She didn't get vanished?
I don't think she was vanished because I think they said it's Thanos' army.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think Tony would have wished for Gamora.
As Thanos' army.
Right.
Well, I mean,
because she was fighting against Thanos, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So, that's interesting to see. But I also think in the end of Endgame, we see that it says searching for Gamora.
Yeah.
In the ship, when Quill's in the ship. So she's back, but she's not our Gamora. She's past Gamora, brought back.
Yeah.
Okay, which means even like Loki can't come back, right? Because that was a common question too. Is Loki not coming back?
No, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure that it was just the
At least not by the Soul Stone.
Exactly.
Or the use of the stones.
Yeah.
If he comes back, it's going to be because he makes a deal with Hela, Mephisto. Yep, that's a hard one for me because I love Mephisto. He's cool. So Loki's not coming back, which is another question that we got here, right?
Yeah.
Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The Hulk.
Yes.
Scientist Banner.
Yep.
The community question is, if the Hulk put on the gauntlet and almost died while trying to wear the gauntlet, just wearing it, then how come when Tony, when he was wearing the gauntlet,
Same effect,
he didn't die? Remember the girl in Guardians of the Galaxy? That red girl? She touched the Power Stone and exploded.
Yeah.
How did Tony survive the touching of not even the snap, but just the touching of it? Do you have an answer for that one?
I have speculation.
What's your speculation?
His entire suit was on.
That's it. That's the answer. That's my answer.
Was on, dispersing the energy.
Right, because if you see that it spread throughout his suit, right, you can see it etching his suit. And his suit does have a power absorption because we see him absorbing Thor's
awesome.
lightning.
You know what else I thought was awesome? Iron Maiden. Pot.
Oh, but that's the Rescuer, I thought.
It's Iron Maiden.
I didn't know that. I know it as the Rescuer. Yes. When she comes back and they're fighting together.
Yeah,
oh my God, taking down everything.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I love the scene with all the girls.
All right, I have a problem with that scene.
All the girls coming in? Why?
Yeah. I don't have a problem with them doing it, but in a movie, this is what makes it makes Endgame not the greatest.
Yeah.
This makes it the A tier, A minus, the gatekeeper. When you're watching these movies, like when you watch Infinity War, at no point in Infinity War did you take yourself out of the storyline. And in Endgame, when you saw all the women just randomly assemble on the battlefield, you were taken out of the movie for a moment, and you realized you were watching a movie, and they did this to be politically correct, and they did this so that way they could show off women in the movie. They were showing off the women. It was a moment to show off, and it was not something that was realistic by any means. On a war zone. You thinking of war zone? Just all the females are just gonna be like, "Hey, yo, let's band up together, yo."
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, "No, you each go fight and stay alive."
Yeah.
Like I was taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
I have no problem with all the females.
Yeah.
Right? How many female? We need more.
Yeah.
I love seeing them.
We lost a couple.
Black Widow.
Oh man.
Okay, so that one I think is pretty. And anyway, the answer to that is it was because of Tony's armor.
Yeah.
So shouldn't the Hulk have worn the Iron Man suit?
If he could have, I think he would have.
Sure, if they had known, right? All right, you ready for the next question?
Of course.
And I don't know why they asked us this question, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is a bad question, but I think this has been pretty thoroughly explained. The hammer at the end of the post-credit scenes, what was it?
What do you mean?
If you watch the post-credit scenes, at the end of the movie, you saw like little snapshots, and then you saw like Tony, he signed something. Chris Hemsworth had his signature, and then it ends with a hammer clank, 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 clank. And it was actually a callback to Iron Man 1 when he was building his first suit.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what that was. So
okay,
to
yeah.
answer that question. Okay. Real quick, I've been getting this question all day.
Lay it on me.
What happened to the hammer after Captain America returned to the stones? Please just be...
Obviously.
Yes.
When he returned the red stone to where it needed to be, he brought it back to Asgard.
Yeah.
I want to know what that was like. Could you imagine they're looking for Mjolnir and Thor sees him, he's like, "Who are you? Wait, no, you're Cap. What are you doing here?"
Here you go.
And he's like, "Can you take this?" He's like,
That's my hammer!
he's like
Well, hopefully he just placed it somewhere.
yeah, oh, he could have just tossed it and then
Right. Don't let him see that Captain can wield it.
Yeah.
But it was on the stage. It was on the quantum teleporter.
Yeah.
And he picked it up with the suitcase, which leads me to... remember, I'm saving my questions for last, okay?
Yeah.
The ones that I feel are the hardest ones. Okay?
Of course, bro.
I gotta write this down because I forgot to write this down. Mine. All right, because this one, I'm once again leaving the hardest ones for last.
Of course, yeah.
This is also going to keep our listeners intrigued. Okay. Why can Wanda break a stone but not kill Thanos without the gauntlet? Don't you think she was about to kill him, though?
No, yeah, she was going to kill him, but she was doing it slowly.
I think she was actually beating him.
Yeah, it was obvious because you saw panic and fear on his face as
And then
she was
he
doing what
said,
he was doing.
"Rain fire."
Rain fire.
That's
you could
last
tell
hit.
that was a last resort. It was either that or he was gonna do something like destroy the entire planet they were on anyway, right? You can tell that what she was doing to Ultron. Remember how she got up to Ultron?
Yeah,
she
she
just
kicked
crushed
him
him like a
apart.
tin can.
Right.
But she pulled his heart out, literally, basically.
Yeah,
Pulled his,
she was slow killing him.
slowly killing him. That's what when she pulled up, like when she literally like posted up on Thanos and he was walking towards her and I saw her and she was like, I forgot exactly what she said. I was too busy freaking out.
Oh, she said, "You took everything."
Yeah, you took
from me."
everything from me.
And he goes, "I don't even know
know
you." She goes, "You will."
She lifts him. That's how you know she was just trying to make him feel every single second, and he was.
She was the first one to knock a dent in all of him. His sword, broke his sword.
Yeah, broke his sword.
His armor, took apart his armor, was taking apart his arms, and he did rain fire. So, that question was, she actually was killing.
Was killing him. And I like the little I like how you said that all of him, because earlier when he showed up, you see his armor, it's all pristine, perfect. When Captain America started going wailing on him, and you see him throw the lightning down, he gets back up, he has cracks all over the front of his armor.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Whoa,
He took the lightning strike though like a beast.
Yeah, he took everything they threw at him like a beast.
All right, you ready for the hard questions now?
Come on, man.
All right. This is... Oh, which one do I do first? All right, I'm going to do the easiest of the hardest first.
Go.
Peter
Parker.
Peter Parker. Gone for 5 years.
Of course. I think I know where this is.
When he goes back to high school,
And
and Ned's still there.
Still there.
Does that mean Ned was snapped too?
it could be, or school was out for 5 years because the entire population was in disarray, and so was every single government on the planet due to half their population leaving.
Oh, see, that's what I was getting at, because how are you back in high
Yeah,
school?
governments and stuff
And
were
everybody's
shut down. Everything was shut down. They couldn't
I
really do much.
I
about
didn't
it.
think about that one. That's good.
Or he was snapped.
Oh, he snapped. Same thing, Mary Jane, right? I think maybe we'll get the answer to that in the next Spider-Man movie, how that
Far From Home, yeah.
progression occurred. Okay, you ready for this one?
I am ready for all of them.
Okay, the Mind Stone. Where was it originally in when we first saw it?
Mind Stone was in the Scepter.
In the Scepter. When's the first sighting of the Scepter?
The first Avengers movie when he pops up.
Okay, Avengers. What movie was the Avengers? What year?
2000.
2012. We even saw the reboot to that too. Who gave Loki the Scepter?
The dude, I forget his name. The
Chitauri.
The Chitauri dude. The Chitauri
And who
dude.
gave the Chitauri the Scepter?
I don't remember.
It was Thanos.
Thanos gave it to them. Okay.
I have 2 plot holes
Yeah, what's
with these statements.
plot hole?
Plot hole number 1. In Endgame, Thanos says that we found the first Infinity Stone, the Power Stone, on the ship. I found the first one. And then Nebula and Gamora was like, oh, Destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2014 when he found the first stone. Then how did he have the first stone, the Mind Stone, 2 years earlier, which was used with the Tesseract, the other stone? Shouldn't the Power Stone have been the third stone?
Well, I think you're just listening to it out of context. I think since they already had that, they weren't worried about it. So that when they found the other one, that was technically their first stone because they've been looking.
The
for
first
all
one
of
that they
them.
were going to
They
actually have.
and use in the grand scheme.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he had the Mind Stone.
Yeah, he had the Mind Stone, and that's common knowledge at that point. Yeah, we have that stone, but we need all 6. And even Gamora was just like, 1 is not 6, you know. So, but like, you know, he found that was the first significance. Like,
Maybe that was the first stone in the
progressing.
master plan,
Yeah,
because they didn't need the
progressing,
Mind Stone
First
or
stone in master plan.
the Tesseract, but they had the Power Stone. They were unstoppable.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And what I love about that scene too is they don't know anything about what's going on with Gamora and War Machine being there, right?
Yeah.
And they come in and they say, we found it and it's on this planet, Morag, right? And we need to go get it. That in the Guardians movie, they actually sent, if you remember, Ronan dispatched his henchmen to go get the stone. But instead of sending Ronan, Thanos himself came in this one, so it altered that timeline slightly. Okay, are you ready for the next part? With the same thing.
Lay it on me.
Remember? The scepter is in the scepter. Ant-Man got the scepter from Captain, brought it to the future, right? And then they broke the scepter, got the Mind Stone. When they put it back at the end of the movie, when they returned it, it was in the suitcase, not in the scepter anymore.
Yeah.
And then they returned it back to what? In another scepter?
Probably not that. They returned it back to the time when they were collecting the scepter in
Yeah,
general, right?
which
Like,
was
when
right after
Avengers.
Avengers. So
Right after
then
Avengers.
they would have given it
So they
back
would
to
have
that
given it back to-
timeline
Yeah.
where Loki used the Tesseract to get away.
Well-
They used the Mind Stone on Captain America. He said Hail Hydra, right, to trick him. And they would have now had no scepter with the Mind Stone.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't have really changed anything. Think about it. It would have just been like the Hydra
They
people,
didn't know
the
what
Baron
was
Strucker-
in the
yeah, I know.
scepter.
And now the Baron Strucker people do. Now they would have. It wouldn't have really done anything, but oh wow, we have a gem that glows and it's very strong now. What do we do with this one? I don't know. And then they would have found them, and then the Avengers would have found them and was like, whoa, that's a stone.
I love that aspect, though.
Yeah.
They were nodding to the comic series that was probably going to go down as one of the most controversial series of all time, where Captain was a Hydra agent. And he was a Hydra agent because they used the Tesseract to mind control him. And what happened in that? He used the Mind Stone to wipe Captain's memory, and then when he woke up, he's like, "Oh, you're a Hydra agent." Okay.
All right, yeah.
And that was cool. Like, it showed how that timeline could have, grown into what we saw. Okay. Answer this one.
All right.
When they all were on the platform, they're all about to go back in time.
The first time.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're separated into teams.
Mm-hmm.
Did they or did they not only have 2 uses?
Yes, they did.
One to go into the quantum zone to come back. One to go into the quantum zone and come back again. To go back and come back. When I say go back in time or come back to the present.
Yes.
Okay? 1 and 1. That's it.
Yep.
Are you sure?
I'm 1,000% sure.
Good Nebula
Good Nebula.
used it once to go back with War Machine, right?
Mhm.
Thanos captured her.
Yes.
Bad Nebula used it the second time to come back to the present.
Yes.
Then how did Thanos
Get
go
the
into the
ship.
quantum zone without the pin particles?
Get the ship. I couldn't tell you that one. That's probably the only one that I really couldn't tell you.
This is the hardest plot hole for me.
Yeah.
Because the only way for them to go into the quantum zone is if they had Pym particles.
Yeah.
And the only way that could have happened is if maybe Ebony Maw was given the Pym particles.
And they replicated
And they
it
replicated it. And so they had...
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Ebony Maw is a genius
He's
now.
a massive genius. And they have extreme technology, so
Right.
they can just probably do that.
Could they replicate it?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
And we don't know how much time occurred in between
plus-
Bad Nebula being sent and Thanos
plus
saying...
the quantum zone is different.
Right.
And plus, time that could have happened instantly for us in the present because that's the past. So literally, they could have just done that for us.
But I think that's kind of a big oversight, don't you think?
No, because if it's in the past, then it already happened. It doesn't.
But
need to
you
have
don't think
time
that's
for
big
us
oversight for the Russo brothers not to have that count?
to have that count as what?
Like that count in mind, the 1-2 uses in mind. Say, oh, Thanos doesn't have a use of it. Oh, we'll just say he comes back in time, and they'll figure out a way for it to happen. Okay, answer this. Ant-Man
What about Ant-Man?
was in there for 5 hours.
Yeah, for
His
5
time.
hours.
How long was Hank Pym's wife in there for?
Well, a couple years.
30
A couple
years, something like that, right?
Yeah, 30 years.
Why did she age the 30 years, and he only aged the 5 hours?
No clue. Well, I wouldn't put Ant-Man up to Endgame. Ant-Man isn't that as good as, in my opinion. Don't kill me. Ant-Man, I don't think is as good as games, movies. And if they make a mistake in that movie, like the plot hole there, like the whole thing where she's aging for 30 years and
Maybe
in
she
the
got stuck
quantum
in a
zone.
time vortex?
Probably that could be a thing.
They need to explain how she has aged so much.
Yeah.
Because if it really is that variant.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go use a different word.
Yeah.
The variations.
Yeah.
Such high variations in the time, ratios. I need to see what happened to her in that quantum zone, man, because there's so much that we don't know about that girl.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know that from what we saw, there's a city in the quantum zone. And if you're listening, go back and watch Ant-Man the Wasp. When Hank Pym picked up his wife and they're leaving, slow it down. You'll see a city in the background, right?
Yeah.
So there's something that we don't know still in the quantum zone. I need to see her story. Why did she age so much? Because 5 hours, 5 years, that means she should have aged 30 hours if you keep that right. That same 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
30 hours. That means she still would have been as young as she was.
Can I just say how good their crew is for the CGI DH?
Oh, yeah,
They're
with Cap.
amazing.
That really did look like Chris Evans.
That really did. That ending, that hit hard. That hit different and hard. When I saw how good they made him look as an old man, plus how good they made Stan Lee look, younger man.
That wasn't... I thought they filmed that. That was all CGI?
I think so. Pretty sure. You could look it up. We have
That's
the
cool.
internet right here.
I love the Nuff Said
Yeah.
reference.
Enough said. Yeah, that was good. Make love, not war, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
How many times did you cry, Hector?
5. 5 times. 5 times.
Okay, remember what we kept saying the most important Avenger is Hawkeye?
Yeah.
That's my running joke.
Yeah, the running joke, because whenever he's there, they win.
Right. What was the opening scene of the movie?
His family dying.
Hawkeye, bro.
Yeah.
Did you notice that in the very beginning of the movie, Hawkeye was wearing an ankle monitor?
Yeah, because he's on house arrest.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, because we need a little bit of a refreshing after the crying of
Right.
Infinity War, right?
Yeah. That was so
and then they
sad.
make us cry again. Yeah.
Hawkeye was reckless in this movie.
They let him shine.
Yes,
I'm gonna say
yes.
they let that man shine in this movie.
Absolutely.
Every other movie,
he deserved it.
He's there every now and then. They see him a couple times. He was pretty good in Avengers, but this is where he. A lot of actors got their time to shine in this movie.
You know who got shafted?
Who got shafted?
Bucky.
Bucky. But yeah, he did. Yeah.
You realize in Infinity War, if you got to shine in Infinity War, you actually got taken back in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Thor was the shining. He was the hero in Infinity
and now
War.
he's literally just
now
a
he's
blob.
this,
Yeah.
right? You saw Iron Man. You know, like a couple big fight scenes.
Yeah.
You know, he was like a major component. And he still kind of was like a major component in his
He
own
is the
way.
major component
Right
of it.
at the very end.
He figured out
You
time
didn't
travel.
see any really Captain America. I mean, you saw him versus Corvus Glaive,
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Corvus Glaive, that's it.
Yep. And then, you saw him, fight in Wakanda, but that's really it. And you really didn't see much of him.
In this movie,
And it's all Captain.
that is America's ass.
Oh, dude, don't you feel like Captain America was now finally funny?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say finally funny because he was pretty funny for me. I thought he was always funny. I thought
He was old
I thought
man
the
funny.
quote unquote innocence was hilarious.
I did too.
I thought it was hilarious. Like when he was, it's
language.
language. And then in the first movie, when I forgot what the reference he made was, Nick Fury said something, and he's like, "I got that reference."
Right, when he's at the table,
Yeah, I
because
got
he
that.
made a reference to, it's like a Star Wars reference or something
He's
like
like,
that.
"I got that reference." That was
Oh, it was a Wizard of Oz reference, going down the
yeah.
rabbit hole
Yeah,
or
going down the
something.
rabbit hole. It was,
But it's not Wizard of Oz.
yeah, no, sorry.
It's Alice in
That's
Wonderland.
He's like, "I got that one."
Did you know that Alice in Wonderland was the first book ever in science fiction to have a wormhole in it?
No.
What's the rabbit
the
hole?
rabbit hole's a wormhole.
Oh, it is the first ever story using a wormhole.
That's cool.
Nice little fact. But
Yeah.
back to you.
I loved it. I loved him in this movie. Especially that scene when he fought himself, and he was just like, "I could do this all." His past self was like, "I could do this all day." He's like, "I know, I know."
That was good. I laughed. Everybody was laughing on that point. That was so good.
I know. He's like, "That is."
You know what? Ant-Man was great. When he saw,
I was just gonna say, Paul Rudd also got his time to shine. Do you want to know that one scene? He sees his daughter grown up.
I cried.
I cried too. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yes.
Because he was. We usually see Paul Rudd. He's kind of a dunce in a lot of his roles, especially this one. He Back to
Dog,
the
he
Future
was
was a lot of
treated as the
bullshit.
little kid in this. They were making fun of him so bad. I remember when Rocket went up to him, he's like, "Oh, look at him, he's growing up in our." I'm like,
"You want to go to space? I'll take you down to space."
yes. But yeah, right. That scene with him and his daughter.
I was like,
She's what, 13, 14
now,
at this moment?
around, I think, yeah.
An old 13, man.
Yeah. Talking, I was like, "Oh God, man, that was good." And then when I say that I predicted, I didn't say this on podcast. I should have. I predicted that Falcon was going to be Captain America. Everyone laughed at me. Everyone laughed at me.
You should have said that on air. That would have been a great prediction. That's on my poster over there, bro.
I know,
On Monsters
it's right
Unleashed.
there, yeah. I was talking to my dad, my brother. I was like, "He's going to be the next Captain America." Like, why do you say that? First of all, it's in the comics. Second of all, that's what they've been leading up to. That's why they introduced him. He became his right-hand man almost 15 minutes into meeting him. It's Falcon, all right? Falcon.
Yo, he straight up took out one of those monsters in this movie. Just
That was one of my. We see Falcon, right? In all the other movies, he's kind of like War Machine, but for Captain America, right?
I have almost felt, honestly, that he was almost useless at times.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I agree. And then in this movie, they when he came in and then he stabbed them with the wings. I was like, "That's Falcon.
Yes.
That's Falcon right there."
He's
Because
fearless.
I wanted to see what they would do. Because Falcon can use the quote unquote feathers on his wings as like throwing knives, to shoot off of his wings in the comics.
They didn't do that in this.
He can literally go woo, and then they would fly out, or he can stab him or slice with his wings and stuff. Woo, And then when he finally flew in and used them as knives, and he was like, "Argh!" I was like, there you go. And I feel like literally everyone got their time to shine in that final fight scene.
Yep.
I think that fight scene was just a tribute to everybody. And when
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no,
At
no.
first, I was kind of taken aback by the small utility of Doctor Strange.
oh yeah,
They showed one scene where he used his powers to pick them all up and then he slammed him into the ground. But then he was controlling the water and everything.
making sure nobody drowned.
But two things. One, he had his moment to shine in Infinity War.
Yeah.
And so they had his time. And everything has to be balanced, Hector.
Exactly.
But he was also controlling the flow of the fight with the water.
Yeah.
Right? And he was keeping, if you watch him, he was keeping tabs on the fight. He knew every major event. Every time there was a huge explosion or something, he looked, he stopped for a second, and he looked. All right, this is where we're at. This is where we're at.
Yeah, because he saw
This is
all
where
of
we're
this.
at.
This is
And
literally
he
something
knows.
he saw.
And then he waited. And then he gave Tony the finger.
Finger. Yeah, the one. I was like, and you know something? What was the first thing that Captain America said to Iron Man when they were arguing?
Oh, you're not the type to make the sacrifice play, to lay your life on the line, to lay down on the wire and let the other man crawl over you? He goes,
Exactly.
no, I just go over it.
Yeah. and
Who laid their life on the line. But Captain
was ready to die.
He was
ready
straight up.
He was because he had his shield broken in half. He loves that shield, and he knows how quote unquote indestructible it is. He looks at it, he tightens the buckle. He's literally ready to face on the entire
Which I
army.
called. I said
he
he's
said he was
tightening
tightening
it
it.
to using it as a splint. Sure enough, you saw that big ass gash in his arm.
Yeah, his arm.
Tightened it.
Yeah, and he tightened it up, and he was ready to fight the entire army by himself.
He wasn't gonna stop.
Even he could do it all day. Even if he could.
I give that the most iconic scene in any major Marvel movie, where he's standing and Thanos' army is in the background.
I love how they were watching, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but I loved how they were just like, waiting for Thanos to kill this guy, and then we're like, all right, half the population. Or actually, he probably would have killed all of them because he enjoyed it.
Yes, he said he was going to.
Yeah. All right, sorry. Continue.
No, I just think that was the most iconic. However, apparently in Game of Thrones, which I don't watch,
I don't watch either.
there's a scene with Jon Snow on the left side of the screen with light coming down on him, looking at an entire ice or whatever army it is.
Yeah.
And it's apparently the same exact scene, and the only difference is that Jon Snow had an army behind him, and Captain America didn't at the time.
Well, I mean, for a little bit he did. After that, he did.
I don't think anybody can match that scene
Yeah.
with any army ever.
I don't think anybody can.
Ever.
I love Black Panther, by the way. And one of my favorite things,
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
one of my favorite things about the movie was how, I don't want to say accurate because I'm not African, but how it looked realistic and how it looked believable. They made it very believable. Yeah, it's like it's a very notion like there's some African society buried within the jungle with all this technology far with that advances ours, of course. It's very out there, but you get the sense that could happen or that's real. And they have all the tradition. When I hear in Infinity War, when they were to the final battle, when I heard "T.M.O back,"
Oh, and then the whole army behind me.
I was like,
How do you feel about the first return, the first, let's call it the first snapped Avenger, the first snapped anybody that we see? Well, we first hear Falcon, right? He was technically the first, but the first one that we see come back was Black Panther.
yeah.
All of them. The first one back, Black Panther.
Was that his mother next to him?
Yeah, no, that was
The girl.
Sherry.
Yeah, the girl he likes.
Yeah.
He
And
walks
of course
out,
his general.
walks out and is full. Get up.
Yeah, that took me off guard. That was the first one. I thought it would be Bucky,
Could have been.
right? But they chose Black Panther for a reason, and I think it's because Black Panther might honestly be the crowd favorite,
Maybe, yeah.
right?
He walks out, and I saw the whole army behind him, and then all these other circles, all the other portals popped up. Can I tell you something? When I say, I want you to listen. I want you to listen closely.
I'm listening very
When
closely.
I literally say that I almost passed out due to excitement,
Yes.
I'm not joking. Okay?
Yeah.
When that happened, when all the circles popped out, my heart started beating faster. And it was all too fast because Captain America had just picked up Thor's hammer. That was already a big deal.
And then he says
I was freaking
Avengers
out.
Assemble.
And then he says Avengers Assemble, and they fight. I'm getting heated up right now. My heart's starting to beat
That's
fast. Right?
when he said that. That was everybody's emotion.
Avengers, and then it waited. I hate the Russo brothers. It waited, it got close to his face, and it said, "Assemble." And
With
then
every emotion.
every emotion in his body, and he flew out, and everybody was fighting. And okay, another thing, I love how when he got the hammer, he started spinning it like Thor did. I was like, oh! He started. I was like,
And Martin is drunk. Oh, yes.
Okay, but I almost passed out seriously. I had never been so lightheaded from a movie. So it was all while everything was going down. Potts showed up out of nowhere in her armor, and she was just, "Hey, you alright, Spidey?" I was like, "Oh!" I didn't have time to breathe. Everybody was fighting. Everybody was going in. I looked at my brother. I was like, "I don't think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do it." He's like, "You gotta stay awake, man." Yeah, I almost passed out. I had to sit there and
Watch the film, right?
I had to wait, and it was the most terrifying but exhilarating moment in my life.
Now, remember who found the gauntlet after they used it? Who was Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah. He was running it.
All right, once again, the importance of Hawkeye shows up, right? Now, think about this part, and I thought this was really cool. When I was watching it, I was like, I know what they're doing. It was brilliant. Hector, when I say this is probably one of the most brilliant aspects, like, if you don't realize what they did here, like, when they were passing the gauntlet around, literally went from old Avengers, and they were passing the gauntlet metaphorically to the new Avengers. Who gets the next one? Black Panther. What a smart Avenger to give that to, by the way. Adamantium armor, super fast, was super acrobatic, and then gave it off to Spidey. I love the instant kill activation. All right.
Instant kill.
I love Queens. Hit it with the Spidey web, where he threw the hammer.
Heads up.
Right. Spider-Man with the reflexes, of course, Spidey sensed right to hit that hammer, and then he goes through all that. We see Spider-Man going through the defeat, and then Captain Marvel gets it.
Because of rain fire.
That was another part of the movie that makes it an A-, FYI, is when Peter goes, I don't know how you're going to get through that, after seeing that she just destroyed the ship. He didn't need any of them. Everyone that showed up, she has backup.
Why?
What are you guys going to do that she can't?
Why?
There's only one of you that has any ability to even go against Marvel. Yes, thank you. That's the only one, right? When she showed up, I'm like, that's the only one that can help her. Okay, so maybe you should put her in front of her just in case Thanos goes after her, but everybody else, she's going to destroy. And then what happens? They all go in, they fight, and then she stays back, and then she just goes, boop, right through them all.
Straight through every single one of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
I was sitting there and I was thinking, I was like, because when Wanda walked up to Thanos, and she manipulated his body and started crushing him and pulling him apart and doing all this crazy stuff, it just threw me back, of course, to when Vision. And
That was good.
I don't know if you noticed in that movie, she didn't push him down, increased his density.
Yeah. She
went
increased
into
his
the Mind Stone
density.
and she increased it.
Right.
His
His phasability. And that's why he went straight down. That's also why he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
When he went down there, too.
Just,
Right.
but
That was interesting.
let's talk about Black Widow real quick, because Black Widow, man, I thought it was kind of funny, just a little bit. Not that she died, but the whole process of them like saying, "I'm gonna die." No, I'm gonna die. No.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the wrong people here.
I'm gonna
right?
die. Black Widow and Hawkeye.
They saved each other.
They saved each other. Yeah, they were sitting there, and that whole process where he shot the arrow to keep her there, jumping. I really thought it was gonna be him.
I did too. I was like, oh, I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw him leap, my heart died.
It was like
Because my theory that he's the most important one faded. Because I'm like, he's going to die.
and then you see her hand come into frame, and
And then she got him. I'm like, this is proof.
Yeah.
This is living proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
and then
I had to boast
and
it.
then she pushed off.
I cried, actually. When she died, I had a tear come down. I was legitimately so sad.
I don't know if you noticed, but I had a feeling, a very, very, very deep feeling that she was, for a couple of reasons.
Well, they foreshadowed it the whole movie.
The beginning, remember when she had the little conference, left one by one, and she's in there crying. Captain America pops up. They're having. Look around the room.
Dark.
There's so many things that point back to her past. There are ballerina shoes sitting in the front.
I didn't realize
Her
that.
ballerina shoes are sitting in the front. I was like, oh my god, that's when.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that
You're just
scene now.
sitting right there. All of her, her stuff in the background and everything. Kill her! Or not! And then she kills herself. And it really hit when Hulk, the Thing, and he was talking to them. Like, I really tried to bring her back, man.
Yeah,
was
and he
like,
couldn't. And
damn.
okay, real quick, because we were almost out of time. Was the Hulk snapped? Was the Hulk himself snapped? Not Bruce Banner, but the Hulk.
The Hulk. Did the Hulk go?
No, think about this. Where did the Hulk go?
No, they
merged.
They merged.
Even minds.
Yeah, even
minds.
Because remember he was talking in the diner and he was like, I was treating Hulk as a demon, not a demon, a disease.
And now
because
it's a cure.
But now I realize that if we were to just literally come together, we get best of both worlds and we survive. We survive, because Hulk, if you think about it, was a survivability thing. It was like DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
It's usually because of trauma. You create these different personalities to protect yourself.
Oh,
He was beaten as a kid.
that's very interesting.
He was abused as a
Very
child.
interesting.
Which created this alter ego inside of himself that would protect him, keep him
Yeah.
safe, keep him away from people because they hurt him.
Right.
And later
He
on,
went through therapy.
when he got hit with gamma rays, that all just became personified, right? So then later on, Hulk, all he wanted was to keep him away from people, and he hated Bruce because Bruce rejected his help.
Right.
He was created to help.
Well,
Bruce.
yeah, everybody rejected the Hulk.
Everybody rejected the
except
Hulk.
for Captain America.
Captain America was like, "You got this, smash." You know, he was always there. He was always like, "What's up, man?"
And even Thor in a way in Ragnarok, he called him
he
Hulk.
was like, "Yeah, come on." He was like, "Yeah." You know, and then and if you just accept, I don't think that you know it actually exists. You can't like cure DID like that, like accepting these things. But that's a way of seeing it that he just accepted Hulk as a whole, the idea of Hulk, what Hulk is, what Hulk embodies as a whole, and so that finally just went away.
Right.
And that just came together to make just the perfect Bruce Banner, one that could protect himself no matter what, and one that doesn't lose himself in the process of trying to protect himself.
That makes way more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay. We only have about 3 minutes left, but I do remember on us saying yesterday that they didn't specifically address it, but I feel like they left it open for the future. The fault. The rip in the dimension. Don't you think that they still like they did, right? They left it open.
They kind of left that open
because I think, and this is what I couldn't tell you yesterday.
Yeah.
But this is the part where I'm saying, well, the Ancient One, when she explains the timelines, right? She says that without the stones, it leaves the universe
open for
attack, and our universe no longer has the stones, which leaves the universe
open
for attack, which means there has to be a dimensional tear somewhere. That was my specific idea, my specific reference that I couldn't specifically tell you yesterday. I didn't want to tell you that this Ancient One was in it.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree?
I agree. No, I agree 100%. It's just it's so much harder to actually comprehend what they plan now, dude.
Well, they're gonna bring in the Eternals.
Yeah, we know the basic idea of what they were gonna do. We know that they're gonna bring in all these crazy characters. We have like these new movies coming out that are introduced. They bought X-Men and the Fantastic Four a little while ago.
So we know Silver Surfer's coming back, which means Doctor Doom. I'm telling you, Doctor Doom has to be the next major arc, like the next 10 years. Well, 12 years from now, we'll probably see the Doctor Doom.
And I'm saying like we don't know exactly what they're gonna do with these, right? We can never guess, right? We got half of this movie, which is pretty darn good if you ask me for the Russo brothers.
Sure.
Right? We guessed all this great stuff, but there are so many things that they just threw out, like Hulk, Green Jolly Giant. We never expected that.
Well, we thought we might see Scientist Banner, but not like that.
I mean, he was literally just Hulk Banner.
Hey, Dab.
Yeah, he's like.
Hulk dabbed. Are you kidding me?
And
he called people little people.
Yeah.
He had truly accepted himself.
All right, hey little people, let's go. I'm like, and that scene where he's like, "Come on, take the picture." He's like, "No, it's all right. I don't want to take it." And he's like, "I don't want to take the picture." It's like, take the damn phone.
I love how they kept referring to Ant-Man. Like War Machine was like, "What's up, normal-sized human being?"
What's up, normal-sized person? And then I like how Nebula walked up and he was like, "Hey," and she was just like, "Be careful on the landing. There's an idiot in the front."
Yes, they really picked on him.
Yeah. Nebula had the most change.
Yeah.
Out of anybody. I think, at least, she was nothing but Thanos' lapdog.
You could say that or Hawkeye.
Or Hawkeye.
Both of them.
But she was nothing but Thanos' lapdog. Literally, nothing without Thanos. She wanted to please him, wanted to be the perfect person, a daughter to him, nothing. After that was out of the equation, she grew into someone who actually cares for someone. If her and Iron Man, past her and Iron Man were on that ship, she would have killed him, took all the food, and somehow, some way, just called out to Thanos, been like, "I know where they are, I know what's going on, let's go kill Earth right now." And then everything would have been over. This Nebula was like, "Keep the food."
Well, there's no Thanos at oh yeah, I guess there was at the time, you're right.
Yeah. She's like, "Eat the food, I don't need the food."
Yeah, she did go she was a very dynamic character in this movie. Agreed. She got a redemption arc.
And she was actually starting to make connections with these people, like War Machine. He was like, yeah, like her and War Machine. It's like, hey man, just be careful.
Let's end it on War Machine. He got the most screen time I've ever seen.
Yeah,
what a great way for him. He needed it.
Yeah, and I loved him in this movie. I love the Iron Patriot armor, by the way. New Iron Patriot.
It was good.
It looked good. It was very War Machine.
Canopy.
Canopy. I was like, oh my god, that's cool. This movie was great. I loved this movie.
All right, well, we are gonna end it here for now. Yeah. But I think what we need to do is recollect, and then sometime in the future, let's really look at the future of Marvel, because there's so much more #, Dark Avengers.
Maybe. Ooh.
That's something that came to mind earlier. I was like, wait a second, because I know Harry Osborn takes over Shield and calls it Hammer, and they have Spider-Man, and there's the Skrulls in that timeline. Secret Invasion. I don't know.
Maybe.
You want to hashtag question mark anything for our listeners?
No, not necessarily. I don't have any questions that have love in my heart.
All right. Once again, if they have questions, they need to comment.
Yeah, comment
'Cause
below
like you
if you
said,
have
we
questions.
just got all these questions, and I think we answered pretty. You did a great job, Hector. And we knew Jalen wasn't going to show up.
Yeah.
He texted me, by the way. He said, "Oh, you guys doing? Did you guys start? My bad,
Oh, ha!
Jalen."
That man.
All right. Well, this is Gabs, and we
An
got.
actor. Yep.
And thank you guys, and like,
Remember,
subscribe, all of it.
comment.
Yes.
We need it. Discussions. All right.